guys. So, spent most of the day, a good chunk of the night as well, troubleshooting a new piece of equipment, which is an official second camera, which is right there. And I was reminded of Noah because here's the thing: right now, I don't really need that second camera, and right now, I probably don't need some of these other peripherals that I've added. So why did I do it? Why did I add them when the classes at least at this point aren't big enough that I need this or need this or need this? What I originally had worked just wonderful and things are growing and that's really cool. But I didn't need to have these. So why did I add them? Because I know that I will. And so often I think we go, well, when the business, whatever that looks like, when the business picks up, then I will build the infrastructure, grow the infrastructure to accommodate it. But I think those of you that are listening, and actually when I think back to so many of the traditional entrepreneurs that I've been associated with, they would build infrastructure to accommodate far more business than they currently have. But they did it because they knew they would need it. And I think the other piece, which is really the topic for this, is they understood that because they built it, it's into vibration that attracted the business to them. That's the topic of this episode of Living Spiritually in a Practical World. So, using vibrational mechanics, and I can remember, oh goodness, let me think. Okay, he would be fine if I mentioned his name. He started a business years ago, and it was started out with, I think it was a leasing business. Actually, and then he moved, and he got involved with I'm oversimplifying this, but a auto repair financing company. And so he started it with like 3 other guys or something like that. And what was really kind of neat was really early on, and I did some web work for him and that type of stuff. Really early on, he would send out press releases. Now, he typed them up and he sent them out, and they looked exactly like a press release would look like from a Fortune 500 company and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if he had anybody as far as clients, dealers, I guess I'll use that word, or not. But everything about him, his mannerism, the infrastructure he built, was built as though he did. And I think we can really learn something from that, or from Noah, because Noah built this big ass ark, with believing that once the ark was built, all these critters would crawl onto it. So when you think about it, using vibrational mechanics, there's great power, great effectiveness in taking those steps. I'm not saying we go like insanely crazy or anything, but building your business, building your infrastructure, building your product, building your fill in the blanks, right? Manifesting desires, whether it's related to business, whether it's related to really any desire you wish to manifest, to do whatever you can on a physical level as if it already manifest, and to construct or to add or to do whatever as though it already manifested. And I've read several books from different folks. Some of them they've been written like 80 years ago, 90 years ago, and they talk about, one of them was talking about how he was believing he was going to go on a trip, and so he had his suitcase packed to go on this trip, even though there was zero evidence that he was going to go on this trip. And as a matter of fact, there was a lot of evidence that contradicted his truth that he was going on this trip, but he had the suitcase packed. Or the person you guys have seen me, wow, man, that 10 pound note. Now, this is kind of old news now, but for the longest time, I carried around a 10-pound note. I think it was, I can't remember whether it was British or Scottish, but anyway, it was a 10-pound note that I carried around. And I would look at that note and I would say, I'm going to spend this note. And of course, for those of you who've been following us for any length of time, we spent it. I don't need more coffee. It's been a long day in Edinburgh. And I think that's that power in taking those physical steps. We call it step 4 is inspired action. But even if you put the inspired part aside, is constructing and doing what you can in your physical environment that you would do if your desire was already manifest. And I think that's that whole thing, from thinking from the end, from believing from the end, from living from the end, right? It's exactly that. It's building, in this case, all this cool stuff here. So then I'm ready, as the classes grow and grow and grow, and the interactions grow and grow and grow, that I can make it the best experience I possibly can for you guys. But the other piece about it is that and this and setting it up and creating it. I am radiating that signal out. And I think that's what I wanted to really focus on here, is it's not even so much the physical steps that you take. It's when you take them, it's your intention behind them, that vibration you're sending out is, well, maybe the trip hasn't manifest. Maybe the money hasn't manifest. Maybe the travel, maybe the customers, the clients, whatever, haven't manifested yet. But I'm taking these physical steps as my symbol, as my statement that they are here. Now, maybe we haven't seen them yet, right? Maybe you haven't seen them yet. Maybe you haven't seen the physical manifestation of your desire yet. But you're taking whatever physical steps you can, and every step that you take is like, I believe. And what's really interesting is, like I said, it's not just a kind of a spiritual, fluffy kind of saying. And probably many of you can think of as examples too of people that have started businesses and they've built the structure to accommodate far more business than they had at that moment. But they built it, and that sends that signature out, and it's the signature that is, it kind of just draws the whatever it is, whatever the desire is. Was it the last episode of Practical Spirituality? I can't remember, where I talked about how you have the desire, and when you feel it, then the desire starts coming towards you, and whatever is in the middle, it kind of is squishing it out. And that's where managing resistances and obstacles and all that kind of stuff. And so I think something that we can do is just that. And so I don't have the switcher turned on yet. That's why I'm kind of going around here. But your homework for this episode is, so your homework is thinking about a desire and then choosing a physical step. And it almost, again, doesn't matter what the step is, but you're choosing that physical step. And when you take the step, your intention in your mind is you're claiming the non-physical. Because the physical step is something that's here, you can touch it. Maybe the desire hasn't showed up yet, so it still exists in the non-physical. But every time you take that step, you're radiating that energy out that, yes, it's already here. Maybe I haven't seen it yet, but it is coming. Maybe it's not here yet, but I know it exists. I just haven't seen it yet. And I'm just going to keep building and keep building. I'm going to keep nailing boards onto the side of this big ass boat because I know that once it's done, the critters are going to show up, and regardless of your thoughts on the whatever the validity of stuff like that, there's a lot we can learn from Noah. Think of all that time he took building the ark, of all the Field of Dreams, right? It's gone. You know the actor anyway. Once it was built, then they show it out. So what steps can you take today? Physical steps that symbolize the manifestation of your desire. That has power I'm really confident that it's much greater than we realize. All right. Thanks for tuning in. See you on the next episode.